I'll be using a 4mm hook, and we'll also be needing a pair of scissors, a measuring tape, and stitch markers. So let's get right into it. So first, we're making a magic ring. I don't know how that works for you, but I simply just ensure that I have a loop, and like I just put one end of the yarn over the other. I ensure I have a loose end, a loop, and my working yarn on another hand. Then I just make sure that I hold firmly. Go ahead and chain 3, and for this particular project, the chain 3 counts as a stitch for us. So this chain 3 is our very first double crochet, and I'll just go ahead and mark the top of the chain 3 with a stitch marker. Okay, so this helps me identify my chain 3 when I'm done working the rest of the double crochet. So we'll go ahead and chain an additional work an additional 13 double crochets into that same loop, into the magic ring. Work 13, making a total of 14 double crochets if we add the chain 3 to it. All right, now I'm working my very last double crochet, which is the 14th, and once you're done with that, you're going to pull that loose string, that loose end, you pull it to tighten the center of the magic ring so it doesn't stay wide open, so you have to close it up. Once you're done with that, you go ahead and work your slip stitch right at the top of that chain 3 we started with. So right where I have my stitch marker, I'll be working my slip stitch right there to finish off this row, which is our row 1. Okay, so that's exactly what the stitch marker helps me with, because I do not like to struggle with identifying my chain 3 or the top of my starting chain. Yeah, so right there I just work a slip stitch, and that brings us to the end of row 1. Moving on to row 2, we're going to start off by chaining 3 as well, and I'm going to go ahead and put my stitch marker right there again to make it easy for me to identify, and we'll go ahead and work a double crochet right at the base of that chain 3 where we removed the stitch marker from previously. So we're going to work a double crochet, but take note that this time around we're working a back loop double crochet. So instead of working into both loops, we're going to work into the back loop only. So a stitch is made up of 2 loops. We have the front and the back, so that back loop is where we're going to be working our double crochet into right there. So that counts as our second double crochet. Then into the next back loop, you're going to work 2 double crochets. So what we're doing in row 2 is an increment, so we're going to be working 2 double crochet each in every back loop stitch, and then at the end of row 2 we should have a total of 28 back loop double crochets. So that's exactly is what we're aiming for, that pattern right there. Yes, that's why we are working in the back loop only. So to finish off row 2, we'll go ahead and work our slip stitch right where the stitch marker is. That's the top of our starting chain 3. So ensure that at the end of row 2 you have a total of 28 double crochets. Moving on to row 3, we'll start by chaining 3 like we did previously, and that chain 3 counts as our first double crochet, and right into where we just removed our stitch marker from the previous row, right there we're going to work a back loop double crochet. That's right at the base of that chain 3. So you're going to go ahead and work a back loop double crochet, and for this row we are still increasing, so that's back loop double crochet that we're about to work counts as our second double crochet in the same loop. Then right into the next back loop we're going to work just 1 double crochet, and then into the next we're going to work 2 back loop double crochets, then into the next we're going to work 1 back loop double crochet. So that's the pattern for row 3. You're working 2 1 2 1 2 1 all the way to the end. So in one loop you work 2 double crochets, in the next you work 2, so you keep alternating that way. And at the end of row 3 you should be having a total of 42 double crochets. So you can go ahead and count to be sure that you have a total of 42. If you don't, then there's probably a mistake somewhere. You might have to frog it and work that over again. So right there I'm working my very last back loop double crochet, and then so that pattern, I think you can see clearly now, that's the pattern the back loop only gives. That's why we are picking the back loop only. It gives us this this nice pattern right there. So I'll go ahead and work a slip stitch at the top of my starting chain 3, and that brings us to the end of row 3. Now moving on to row 4, you go ahead and chain 3 like we've been doing, and that counts as our very first double crochet. 1 2 and 3, and we're just going to place my stitch marker right there, and then in that same space, in that same place where we just removed that stitch marker, you go ahead and work 1 back loop double crochet. That's right there at the base of the chain 3. And then onto the next you work 1 back loop double crochet, and then onto the next you work 1 back loop double crochet, and then onto the next you work 2 back loop double crochets. So the increment pattern for row 4 is 2 1 1. You work 2 double crochets into 1 back loop stitch, you work 1 into the next, you work 1 into the next, you work 2, and at the end you should have a total of 56 back loop double crochets. And right there I'm just working my very last two my last back loop double crochet right there, and we have a total of 56 for row 4. And then to finish off that row you just do your slip stitch at the top of the starting chain 3. So I'm working my slip stitch right there at the top of the starting chain 3, and then we close off that row. And then okay, so that's what we're having so far. Moving on, we're going to chain 3 to start our row 5. Chain 3, and then right at the base of that chain 3 where we removed our stitch marker from previously, we'll work a back loop double crochet, and then into the next you work just 1 back loop double crochet, into the next you work 1 back loop double crochet, into the next you work 1 back loop double crochet, and into the next you work 2 back loop double crochets. So the pattern for this row is 1 2 1 1 1 2 1 1 1. So that's the increment pattern, and at the end of this row you should be having a total of 70 double crochets. So you can go ahead and cross check to make sure that you're having a total of 70 double crochets. Okay, so this I'll just go ahead and do that all the way around. Yes, I'm at the end, and I'm just about to work my last set of double crochets right there, and the very last right there. Okay, so that brings me to the end, and I'll just go ahead and work a slip stitch at the top of the starting chain 3 to close up the row. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so The next is row 6. 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so we are moving on to row 6 now, and starting row 6, just like we have been starting the previous rows, you're going to chain 3, and then right at the base of that chain 3, you're going to work one back loop, double crochet, and then the increment pattern for row 6 is going to be working after you've worked the first two, which is the chain 3 and that second double crochet. Into the next stitch you're going to work one double crochet, into the next you work one, into the next you work one, into the next you work one. So the increment pattern for row 6 is 2 1 1 1 1, and at the end of row 6 you should have a total of 84 double crochets. You're going to go ahead and do the same increment for row 7, and the pattern for that will be 2 1 1 1 1 1, 2 1 1 1 1 1, and at the end of row 7 you should have a total of 98 double crochets. So I'm just going to keep at that. I'm probably going to do the rest of this off camera, and I'm aiming to have a total of about 19 to 20 centimeters. That's about 18 inches if I'm correct. Yeah, 8 inches rather. That's what I'm aiming for. So right now we are at about 6. This is just about 6 inches right now. Yeah, so I think the next two rows should get me to 8 inches. So just make sure you have a total of 70 at the end of row 6, and I'm sorry, 84 rather at the end of row 6, and 98 at the end of row 7. Okay, so here I am at row 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, 7, and this is measuring a total of 8 inches. Okay, so moving on to the next row, we should be row 8. That should be row 8. So we'll be chaining 3 as usual. That's our starting chain 3, and but we'll be doing something quite different here in row 8. So let me just mark the top of my chain 3 there on my stitch marker, then we move on. Okay, so moving on, right at the base of our chain 3, I'm going to work a double crochet, which counts as our second double crochet in the same stitch. So you would notice that this time around we're not picking the back loop only. I worked my double crochet right into the stitch. That's both loops, both the front and the back loop right there. Then we're going to skip 2 stitches, 1 and 2. So we're skipping those 2 stitches right there, and into the next stitch we're going to work 2 double crochets. That's the first one. Into that same stitch you're going to work a second double crochet, and then you chain 2, 1 and 2, and then you skip 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and into the next one you work 2 double crochets, and then you chain 2, 1 2, you skip 2 stitches, 1 and 2, and then into the next you work 2 double crochets. So this is basically what we're going to be repeating all the way around till we get to the very end of our row 8. Yeah, so you're gonna you chain 2, skip 2 and work 2 double crochets into a stitch. You chain 2, skip 2 and work 2 double crochets into a stitch. So that's just the pattern for the row 8. So I'm just going to go ahead and work the rest of it off camera. Okay, so I've gotten to the end of this row, and I'm about to close off my row 8 by working a slip stitch right at the top of my starting chain 3. But before I do that, I'm actually switching colors at this point. So I'm just, rather than okay, I've put my hook right into the top of the chain 3, but instead of pulling through with my previous working yarn, I'm just going to switch to the next color I want to use and then complete that slip stitch with it. So I just leave the previous working yarn hanging loosely there, and so With this done, I can then proceed to the next row. So this is how you seamlessly switch colors if you'll be using another color entirely for the body of your cocoon. You're going to want to like turn your works slightly. Like I said, we are working anti-clockwise now, and you'd make to do a double crochet. Basically what we are doing is a front post. For those that are familiar with front and back posts double crochet, this is like working a front post double crochet. So this V stitch, you're going to take the first, let me zoom in a bit. So you're going to work on this first double crochet of the V stitch by you yarn over. I've already yarned over. Then right here, like a front, like you're working a front post double crochet, you put your hook right here behind this double crochet, and then you work a double crochet. So this is my first double crochet. We are working a total of 5 double crochets. Sorry, I dropped a strand there. Okay, yeah, so this is the first one, and then you go ahead and work the second one. That's 2 all around that same double crochet. 3, 4, and the 5th one, 5. So once you're done working around the first double crochet, you turn your work further, turn it around, because you're going to work on this second double crochet of the V stitch. So you go ahead and work another 5 around the double crochet of the V stitch. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's a total of 10 double crochets around the V stitch, 5 on each side. And this is what your work should be looking like, something like a scale, I think, or a shell, I don't know, anything you want to call this. Yeah. So now what you're going to do next is, this is the next set of V stitch. After this first one we've worked on, this is the next one. And now in between this V stitch, you're going to put a slip stitch right there. So you go right here in between this V stitch, and then you do a slip stitch. It's as easy as that. Then after doing a slip stitch into this V stitch, into this next V stitch, we'll go ahead and make this shell like thing we just made. So you have to turn your work again to work. I'm just gonna call it a front post actually. So you're working like you're working 5 front post double crochet around this next set. So you yarn over, and then you work 5 double crochets just like that. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then you turn your work further to work the next 5 on the next part of the V stitch. So you work another 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's a total of 10 double crochets around that set of V stitch. So this is what your work should be looking like, like this. Okay, so the next thing you do into this next V-stitch, you're going to do a slip stitch, just like we did previously. So just put your hook in between and then do your slip stitch, just like that. So this is what you're going to keep doing. Into the next one, you work this, I'm going to call it a scale, so it's going to be 5 front post here, 5 front post here. Into here you do a slip stitch, into here you do 5 front post, 5 front post double crochet, then in between this V stitch you do a slip stitch. So you're going to just keep doing that all the way around. I believe by now you should have gotten a hang of it already. So I'm just going to continue with mine off camera. You can just replay this part if you haven't gotten it yet till you get a hang of it. Slip stitch here just to finish up this row. So you're working your slip stitch in between this V stitch, and that brings us to the end of this row, and this is what it's looking like, and it's beginning to take shape. And then moving on to our next row, we're going to be working anti-clockwise. So you're working in this direction now, not this direction. And what we're going to be doing is chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then right here in between this last skill that we just did, we're going to do a slip stitch first, and you chain 1, 2, 3, then right here the same space you work a double crochet just like that, and you chain 2, and then right here in this V stitch where you did the slip stitch previously, you work 2 double crochets, you chain 2, in between this scale you do 2 double crochets, you chain 2, in between this V stitch where we did our slip stitch, you work 2 double crochets, you chain 2, in between the scale you work 2 double crochet. So that's what you're just gonna keep doing all the way for this row. You chain 2, and in between the V stitch where we did our slip stitch, you work 2 double crochets. Just keep at this till you get to the back to this other side. Okay, so I've gone all the way around working my V stitch, chain 2, V stitch, chain 2 in the previous row of V stitch and this scale. So yeah, so I've gotten to the end, and I'm just gonna work my chain 2 and then my V stitch or 2 double crochet, whatever we want to call it, right here. So this brings me to the end of this row. So I'm just gonna chain 2, and right here, the chain 3 we started with, I'm going to, on the top of that chain 3, I'll do my slip stitch to close the row, and this is what we have. Moving on, just like we did here, we're gonna start working clockwise. So we are working, we just came around like this, that's anti-clockwise, so we're gonna work clockwise now. So we're gonna turn our work slightly again like we did before, and work a double crochet right in this V stitch. So it's going to be our front post double crochet. So we are working 5 here, right here. We're gonna work 5 double crochets. So this is 1, 5. So once you're done working the 5, you turn your work, and in the other V stitch, in the second double crochet, you work another 5. So we have 1 and 5. Okay, so I've completed this, and now, like we did previously, the next V stitch, which is this one, we're going to do a slip stitch here. So you can see that it's working like in an alternate way. Here is here, then here we didn't have a shell below it. Then here where we're about to work our slip stitch, there's a shell below it. So you're just gonna go here, or a scale. So you just go here and work your slip stitch just like that. Now moving on to here, that's in between these two scales, we're going to go ahead and work 10 double crochets around the 2 V stitches. So turn your work slightly, and right here we'll work 10 double crochets, 5 in each side or on each side. So this is 1, 5. Now to the other side, to the second V stitch, you turn your work and work. Then you work the remaining 5. So we've got 1 and 5. So that makes a total of 10 front post double crochet. So right here into this next V stitch, you do your slip stitch, work your slip stitch right there, and that's it. Then right here into this next one, we'll work our 10 front post double crochet, 5 on each side, which is in between this two scales, between 2 scales from the previous row. So you're just going to keep at this, just like that. You're going to keep working just the way we did from the previous row. So we've slip stitched here. In this next one, you work your 10 front post double crochet on both double crochet. Then right here you do a slip stitch. In the next one, you work your 10 front post double crochet in this V stitch. In this next one, you do a slip stitch. So you're just going to keep doing it, and I'll meet you up when I get to the end. Okay, so now I've worked my way round from here clockwise, and I'm here, and this is my very last V stitch. I've worked my scale, so I'm just going to go in to this V stitch and work that slip stitch right there. So you can see that brings me to the end of the second row of the shell or the scale stitches. So we'll chain 1, 2, 3, and we are working back from where we came from. So, and we just have to keep repeating this pattern now until we get our desired length. So I'm just gonna do the rest of the body of the cocoon of my owl. I'm just gonna do it off camera, and when I'm done, I'll come back and let you know how many rows I did in total, and then we'll measure it together to know the actual length. So I'm just gonna keep alternating between this V stitch row and the scale row until I get my desired length. I'll just continue this off camera, and I'll come back to you and let you know how many rows I did in total. Okay, so I have gone all the way around, and this is what I'm having right here. And this is what we have, and that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we have a total of 17, and I think that measures about these inches. This is about 10, 10.5 inches. We are right here. Okay, so now we're gonna chain 3 as usual. 1, 2, 3. Let me just mark that top with this. So you chain 3, and right here, this place here, just right here. I hope we can see it. So we'll go ahead and chain and put 2 double crochets. This is 1 and this is 2. Then right at the center here, at the center of our scale, yeah, we'll work just 1 double crochet. Then this next side of the scale, that's chain 2, you work 2 double crochets right there, and the center of this V-stitch, we'll work another double crochet, just 1, and then back to this scale at the top right here, this top where we had the chain 2, this top right here where we had the chain 2, you work 2 double crochets. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, so this is 1 and 2. Then we are at the center now, you work just 1 double crochet to the other side of the feather, that's chain 2 here, this chain 2 right here, that chain 2 right there, you work 2 double crochets. So this is just the pattern. This is what you're going to keep doing till you work your way all the way around. We are back at the center of a V-stitch, you work just 1 double crochet. So it's pretty easy. We are back to this feather on top of this first feather or scale. Sorry, I keep using different words interchangeably. So this is the top where we had our chain 2, you work 2 double crochets right there, and that brings us to the middle of the scale, you work 1 double crochet, that brings us to the other half of the scale right here, this chain 2, you work 2 double crochets. Okay, so just keep at that. I'm gonna finish mine up off camera. I'm gonna walk all the way around. When I get here, I'll meet up with you. All right, so I've gone all the way around working my double crochet, and I've just worked this last feather or shell, and I'm about to work. You can see this was where we started from, where I marked with my stitch marker the chain 3. So this very last V stitch, you have to work our last double crochet right there. Okay, so I've just worked my last double crochet there. Now I just have to slip stitch right here where my stitch marker is to close up the row. So I'm gonna slip stitch on the top of the chain 3. Okay, I think I can get stitch marker out so that this goes in easy. So you do your slip stitch right there. And okay, so pardon me because I'm switching colors right now, so I'm not supposed to like close up my slip stitch with this gray here, but okay, so this is where I am at, like this, and I'll just grab the previous color I started with, which is the pink. So instead of closing up or finishing up my slip stitch by pulling in, yarning over and pulling in this gray, and I'm just going to drop my gray yarn, and then I'm gonna yarn over this pink one and work my slip stitch just right there. Yeah, so this is how to seamlessly switch between colors. Now to the next part of this tutorial. We're going to chain one like this. I'm just gonna mark it with. Okay, so I've chained one, and I just marked this chain one with my stitch marker, and right, where we worked that slip stitch, you can see where let me zoom this in a bit. Okay, so right where we worked that slip stitch, that same spot, I'm just gonna work a single crochet right there. This is a single crochet. Work my single crochet, and then into the next double crochet I'll work a double crochet. So I'm yarning over, and I'm just gonna hide this loose end as I go along. Okay, so this is my double crochet right here, and the next is going to be a single crochet, and the next is going to be a double crochet. So what you're doing here is just alternating between single and double crochet all the way around till you get to the other side. And this very last one is going to get a single crochet. And this time around, we're just going to keep going in rounds. We're not going to slip stitch to finish this end or whatever, or going back and forth. So we're just going to continue this chain one that I marked. I just needed to know when I get to the end, so I'm just going to take this off. We're not working any slip stitch here, so we're just going to continue. So this is the chain one. This is the first single crochet we started with. So right into this first single crochet, I'm just gonna go ahead and work a double crochet right into it. So I'm working a double crochet. I'm just gonna mark this because I always want to know, I want to be able to count my rows. So I'm gonna mark this to indicate the start of my second row. So that's a double crochet. The next one, which is a double crochet, will have a single crochet. So you're alternating as well. The next one, which is a single crochet, we have a double crochet. So I'm just going to continue this off camera, alternating between double crochet and single crochet. So wherever you have a single crochet, you work a double crochet, and wherever you have a double crochet, you work a single crochet. So that's just it. Pretty easy. Okay, so with the aid of this stitch marker, I can actually see that I'm approaching the end of row 2, which might have not been quite easy for me to know if I didn't mark my very first double crochet. So I have just about 2 stitches left to complete this row. So I just did a double crochet. So the next one is going to be there's going to be a single crochet right here. Sorry about that. Okay, so I've worked the double crochet. So the next one is a single crochet, and into the very last one I'm gonna work my double crochet. And right here was where I started, the row 2 from. So like I said, we're just gonna keep going around. We are not slip stitching to finish up or close up a row. So right into where the stitch marker is, I'm gonna work, it was a double crochet, so I'm gonna work a single crochet, and I would make sure I mark it again because I always want to know, when I get to the end of a row and when I'm starting a new one. So this is obviously my third row, and I'm just gonna keep alternating. So I'm going to complete this part of the projects of camera, and I'll let you know how many rows or how many inches I did when I'm done. Okay, so I've worked about 11, yeah, I think it was 11 rows I did, but I think the most important thing is measuring it. Yeah, so from right here to here, this is 4 inches. So I did a total of 11 rows, and my own 11 rows measures 4 inches. And from here on, we're going to be doing something slightly different. You know that this is the last stitch of my 11th row. So what I worked here is a single crochet. Now I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. And of course, these 3 chains I just did, these 3 chains that I just did actually count as a stitch. So this is a double crochet. So here I'm going to flip my work. You know, I told you we'll be doing something slightly different. So the only difference is that we'll be flipping our work and working back and forth now. So like I said, this chain 3 counts as a double crochet, and this is a double crochet here. So I'm going to be doing a single crochet right here. You know what? Let me just, I love marking, you know, my stitches. So let me mark this. And so right here, I work a single crochet, and here, this is a single crochet. I'll work a double crochet there. So it's literally the same, it's just the same pattern, but the only difference is that we are flipping our work this time around. Yeah, instead of just working in rounds. And the reason for doing this, I'll get to show you, you know, very soon as we progress. So just do this and keep alternating between double crochet and single crochet, and I'll meet you at this side to show you what next we have to do. Okay, so I've worked all the way around, and I have just 2 stitches left. The last stitch I did is actually a double crochet, so the next one is going to be a single crochet, and into this very last stitch I'll work a double crochet right there. Now this brings us to the end of this row. This is actually row 12, or we can call it row 1 of this, you know, new pattern. So the very next thing we are doing now is, since this is a double crochet, we ended with a double crochet, so we're going to chain just 1, because right on top of this double crochet we're going to work a single crochet. Remember, we are alternating our stitches. So flip your work. Okay, now I'm back out. So I flipped my work, and since this last stitch I did was a double crochet right here, I'm going to work the last stitch I did was a double crochet rather, yeah, so I'm going to work a single crochet right here now. So this one gets a single crochet, and like I usually do, I'm just going to mark it, and then this is a single crochet, so a double crochet goes in here, and here a single crochet goes right in here, and a double crochet. So you're just going to keep doing this. You're going to keep doing this, alternating as usual. So the only difference with this pattern or this part of the project is that when you work your way all the way around and you get here, you're going to do your turning chain and flip your work to work from inside. So you flip your work and then you keep alternating. So if you end with a single crochet, you're going to be starting with a double crochet. You work your way back around here again. When you get here, you flip your work all the way back. I think I'll be doing a total of, you know, 2 inches from here. I'll do a total of 2 inches, but when I'm done, I'll come back, you know, to let you know how many inches I did. Okay, so I've gone back and forth flipping my work, and right here I think I have a total of 2 inches, like I said. So this measures 2 inches, and this brings me to the end of this. I'm just going to chain one and I would cut my yarn and I just pull it through like that. So this brings us to the end of that. So as you can see, this is what we're having so far, and right now we just need to work on the body is actually complete at this point. We just need to work on the eyes